All right, be seated. Sure.
So yesterday we talked about the state's witness list. At that time, Mr. Shaw indicated that he would have a witness list for us. They have a witness list, and I'm told that we won't get it until after they depose Mr. Buffington. I mean, I'm not sure what one has to do with the other. They listed over 70, 80 people on the witness list. Clearly, they're not calling all of those people. We just want a copy of the witness list to see who they're calling today. And I know they have one, so.
Judge, basically the witness list is flexible. For example, we heard Ms. Brittany Hicks being mentioned. We're deciding whether we're going to call her or not. I don't think we are, but we might. But it's flexible. So and the order of witnesses are flexible. They provided their witness list on the morning of trial, and they provided their witness list last week. They have our witness list. The witnesses we are going to call, it's flexible, it's fluid. And they have all the evidence. I invited them Friday to come do the evidence. Nobody took my invitation. So, I mean, it is what it is. We don't have an obligation to provide them the names of the witnesses. They're going to know who's being called, that type of thing. They've taken depositions.
Well, Your Honor, if the state's not going to call Brittany Hicks and we want to call her, we need to know if they're not calling her, because the local rules essentially say that if the state subpoenas a witness, we can't subpoena them as well to come to the trial, and they can't release them without talking to us first. So that's why we need to know, who are you calling, because there may be somebody on there that we want to call, and we won't know because they won't tell us who they're calling.
We're not calling Ms. Hicks. She has not been released from the subpoena. We are not releasing any witnesses from the subpoena. They filed an any and all state witnesses, and we know what the case law says about that. That's not sufficient. But we aren't releasing any witnesses. Ms. Hicks, I spoke to her. She's happily available. We're more than happy to hear her testimony. But as far as, I mean, this morning we're going to be calling the Williams Rule case first because it's chronological.
All right, and there's really no legal obligation for the state or for the defense to give you a list of the actual witnesses that they're going to call in the order that they're going to call them. And I think you can probably figure out from opening statement who it is they're going to call. So I'm not going to compel them to do that. I'm not going to compel you to do that. All right, in regard to the stipulations that we talked about before, I don't think it's a big deal in regard to the identity of the decedent. I can just say in that regard, once we get to the medical examiner. Oh, you have them both?
I have them typed up. Yes,
okay, great.
I'll give them to the defense. It's what I indicated the other day.
All right, so let me know when you want the stipulation about.
Yeah, it won't be.
It won't be till the afternoon for sure, or maybe even tomorrow.
Maybe I'm trying to think. No, one of them might be today.
All right, well, I don't think it's going to be in the morning, so you can dig those out later at your convenience. All right.
We will be calling the first witnesses at Williams Rule witness.
Okay. And the only thing that sort of hit me in opening statement is the defense has to be a little bit careful. Obviously, bias always is relevant, but if there's a bias that comes up after a witness makes a statement, then the statement that was made before the bias is admissible as a prior consistent statement to rebut the implication of recent bias. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying be careful about that.
In terms of if we have to impeach a witness, here's what will happen, Judge. If we feel we have a good faith basis to impeach a witness, we'll approach, so we can clarify,
Well, you can, but what?
Sort of struck me was you have to be careful about this. All right, let's say Mr. Kelly arrives on the scene, gives statements to the police, then there's a bias after that. All right, then arguably the state would be able to get into his original prior consistent statements to rebut an implication of recent fabrication because of the bias, right?
Right.
All right, so I'm just assisting you there so you avoid that if you would like. All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let's bring the jury back in.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, welcome back. State, please call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the state will call Mr. Richard Kelly, Ricky Kelly.
All right, members of the jury, I'm going to give you an instruction at this point. The instruction I am about to give you is in regard to the alleged incident that occurred on February 14, 2018. The evidence you are about to receive concerning other crimes, wrongs, or acts allegedly committed by the defendant will be considered by you for the limited purpose of proving motive, opportunity, intent, and lack of self-defense, and you shall consider it only as it relates to those issues. However, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the information.
Sir, right this way. Stand right here, raise your right hand, take the oath, answer out loud, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am. Right this way. Watch your step, go ahead and have a seat. Speaking aloud, clear voice.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Schaub, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Kelly. Will you please state your full name?
Richard Albert Kelly.
And do you live here in Pinellas County?
Yes,
How long have you lived here in Pinellas County?
all my life.
All right, who do you live with?
Who do I live with now?
Yeah.
Me and my old lady.
All right, and 3 kids?
Yes.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about where you work. Can you tell the members of the jury where you work?
I work for a company, a septic company, AA Septic.
All right, where's that company located?
1867 Douglas Avenue.
All right. In relation to the Circle A convenience store, are you familiar with that store?
Yes.
Where is it located in relation to the convenience store?
Maybe a block away from our company.
All right. And what type of business is it?
It's a septic company.
All right. Who owns that business?
John Tyler.
All right. How long have you worked there?
Going on 11 years.
And are you provided, as part of your employment, are you provided a work vehicle?
Yes.
And what type of vehicle is it that you operate?
It's a tanker.
All right. Tell us a little bit what you do.
I pump septic, and we repair septic, so I'm doing a lot of stuff there.
All right. And Ricky, make sure you speak up loud enough so everybody can hear you.
Okay,
All right?
okay.
So, let's talk a little bit about the Circle A convenience store. Are you familiar with the Circle A convenience store?
Yes,
All right. You know the owner of that store?
Yes.
Mr. Salous?
yes,
And how often have you been going there?
all my life.
All right. Did you grow up in that neighborhood?
Yes.
All right. And tell us a little bit about, do you go there, how often do you go there?
In a day's time, maybe 5 times a day, even at work.
All right. And what are the reasons you go there?
Stop and get stuff like cigarettes, soda, candy, chips.
All right. How long have you known the owner, Mr. Salous?
Since I was a kid.
I want to talk about a time in February of last year. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Were you working on that day?
Yes,
Did there come a time when you were about, what's your typical work day? How long?
7:30 to 4 o'clock.
All right. Did there come a time during that day when you were about finishing up for the day?
Yes,
And did you stop at the Circle A convenience
yes,
store?
yes.
All right. Tell us why you stopped at that store.
I stopped. It was the end of the day. It was hot. Ran in and got something to drink
All
from the
right.
store.
Typical for you.
Yeah,
All right. Did you park where you shouldn't have been parking?
yes,
All right. And that was in that handicap spot?
Yes.
All right. And what were you driving?
tanker.
All right. Now, when you work, say you come to my house and I have a septic system and you fix it or you clean it up and you ask for payment. Do people pay you?
Yes.
All right. How do they pay you?
Cash, credit, checks,
All right.
depends.
What do you do with that cash and what do you do with those credit receipts and what do you do with the checks?
It's put in a clipboard inside of the truck
All right. In the front seat?
on the front seat.
All right. Is there any back seat in that truck?
No.
All right. So the front seat.
Yes.
On that date, did you have money there?
Yes.
All right. And when you stopped, you said you were just gonna run in and grab
Run
some.
in and grab
Did you
some.
do that?
Yes.
Did you leave the car running?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, the tanker. Right.
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
All right. Did you bring the money with you?
No.
Where was the money?
On the front seat of the
All right.
truck.
How long do you think you were in the store?
Not even a minute.
All right, did you pay for the items then, or what?
No. I showed Ali at the store that I'm grabbing this. I'm going. I'll take care of you when I get back in.
All right. And he does that for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Pay at the end of the week?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
All right. So then when you went outside, could you tell us what you saw?
I saw a guy walking around my truck taking pictures.
All right. How did you feel when you saw that?
Like, why is he taking pictures of this truck?
All right. Were you concerned because
Yes.
the money inside the
Yes.
truck?
Yes.
And you said he was taking pictures. Did he have a camera? What was
He had a cell phone.
All right. Where was he? Was he walking? Where was he walking?
He was walking around. He was walking around the right side of the truck, driver's side of the truck. He'll walk around to the back. He'll come back to the front of the truck, take pictures. By then, I asked him. I said, "Why are you taking pictures of the truck?"
All right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? I mean, he's showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit Number 1 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Now, you indicated that he was taking pictures of your truck.
Yes.
Is that the location your truck was parked on July 14th?
Yes.
And is it a fair and accurate picture of your truck as it appeared on that date?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd offer you evidence, State's Exhibit Number 1 for identification. I'm showing the defense for their observation and any objection.
All right, I think you meant the February 14th, or not July 14th.
Oh, February 14th.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
So this is the truck you were driving, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the money was where?
On the passenger seat.
All right. Did he appear to be looking inside your truck?
No.
All right. What did you tell him when you saw that?
I asked him. He stated that a family member, a mom or something like that, is handicapped. I asked him, "Is your family member here at this time?" He stated no. And
Did it escalate?
yes.
All right. Tell us a little about that. Was there cursing?
Yeah, it was a lot of profanity on his side. I said what I said and left it as that, and that's when he blew up.
Did you tell him why you were concerned about him being around your truck?
Yes,
All right. What did you tell him?
I let him know that we tote money in this truck, and I don't need him walking around this truck.
At some point of time, did he indicate to you what he could do?
Yes,
All right. What did he say?
he said I should shoot you, kill you. I said, well, I'm not afraid to die. If you're gonna do that, well, he walked back to his vehicle. I didn't see any firearm, but he kind of walked back up on me. So
At that point in time, did you feel like you might have to get into an altercation?
yes,
Did you?
no,
All right. You never saw a firearm?
never saw a firearm.
You saw him go to the car,
Yes,
come out.
yes,
You thought maybe an altercation.
yes.
What happened then?
Then Ali came out the store and kind of like de-escalated the situation. Rick, just calm down. I said, you know what, Ali? That's what I'll do. Got in my truck and left.
All right. Were you done working for the day?
Yes, I was headed to the city dump, city
All
of
right.
Dunedin,
That's in what city?
Dunedin, Florida.
All right. How far were you from there?
Maybe 10 minutes away.
All right. Did you receive a phone call during your travel to the Dunedin facility?
Yes,
All right. And who was it from?
from my boss, John Tyler.
All right. And without going into the exact details, was he calling to find out what had taken place?
Yes,
All right. Did you explain to him what had occurred?
yes.
Now, I'd like to talk about, you never called the police.
No.
That's not you.
I mean, I feel like I left and it was,
Succinct.
Well, they said they never called the police.
It's not you.
Okay, why didn't you call the police?
Because I thought it was done. It was over.
All right. And then, now I want to move to July 19th of 2018. Were you working for the septic company at that time?
Yes.
And did you have an occasion to go by and see the convenience store when there was police tape up and all that?
Yes.
All right. When you saw that, what did you notice or what caught your attention?
The same vehicle in the parking lot that I had an altercation with.
And what type of vehicle was it?
It was a Toyota 4Runner.
All right. When you saw that, did you have a conversation with Mr. Kelly? Did you have a conversation with Mr. Kelly about getting involved?
I'm Mr. Kelly.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kelly. Did you have a conversation with Mr. Tyler?
Yes. Yes.
About getting involved? Did you want to get involved?
No.
Did he talk you into getting
Yes.
involved?
Yes.
Because objections to leading and hearsay, Your Honor.
No. Overruled. Did you then go back to the scene?
Yes.
All right. Did you have a conversation with anyone at that scene?
I had a conversation with a detective.
All right. Is it Detective DeLeon?
DeLeon, yes.
All right. Did he tell you anything about who was shot, whether the person was African American,
Nope.
whether the person was Caucasian or white,
Nope.
whether the person was Asian,
Nope.
whether it was a male,
Nope.
whether it was a female?
Nope.
Did he even tell you there was a shooting?
Nope. Not offhand, he did.
All right. And did he even tell you who was involved?
No.
All right. What did you ask him?
I asked him about the vehicle in the parking lot, the gray 4Runner. And he asked me, well, what do you know about that vehicle? He said every vehicle in
Objection
the...
to hearsay, Your Honor.
Well, it is hearsay what he told him. So he's obviously allowed to say what it is that he saw. He's allowed to say that he told the detective what it was he saw, but not the specifics. So it's still hearsay.
Did you tell the detective what you saw?
Yes.
Did you tell the detective what took place back in February with you and that driver of that vehicle?
Yes.
All right. May I have a moment, Your Honor? I'm going to approach you with State's Exhibit Number 2 for identification, Mr. Kelly, and I'd ask if you would take a look at that. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Is it an aerial view of the convenience store?
Yes.
Is it in a pretty accurate representation of that convenience store as it appeared in February 14th of 2018?
Yes.
All right. At this time, Your Honor, we'd offer into evidence State's Exhibit Number 2.
Any objection? No objection, Your Honor.
May I have the witness step down?
You may step down.
Yeah, please. And to the side so everybody can see, Mr. Kelly, could you please point out to the members of the jury the parking spot, the handicap spot that you were parking in? All right. And to be honest, you've parked in that on occasions?
Yes.
All right. So where your car was parked there?
Yes.
Where was Mr. Drejka's vehicle?
I can't hear you, sir. Can he speak?
Where was his vehicle?
Judge, can we approach?
Okay. Have a seat for a second. I want you to look around the courtroom. Do you see the man that was driving that silver SUV in this courtroom? Yes. All right. Will you please point him out for the members of the jury and describe an article of clothing, color of clothing?
Suit, blue shirt.
Let the record reflect he's identified the defendant, Michael Drejka.
It shall so reflect.
May I have the witness step down, Your
You may
Honor?
step down.
You should keep your voice up, sir. Okay.
Yeah, speak up, Rick. All right, so could you Sorry. Again, point out for the members of the jury where your vehicle was parked. And where was the silver SUV driven by Mr. Drejka parked? All right. It wasn't in a parking spot, was it?
I can't hear you, sir.
No parking spot, no.
You may be seated. I think I want to ask you something else. It came out in an opening statement. You attended a rally
Yes,
for Mr. McLaughlin?
yes,
There was a lot of them, correct?
yes.
How many did you go in?
It was one.
All right. Where did it start?
It started right around the corner from my house,
All right. You live in what area?
Greenwood area.
All right. It started there and it went where?
It went up to the store.
All right. And this was how long after the shooting?
A week, or not even a week, a couple days.
Had you already given your statement to law enforcement?
Yes,
Had you already come to the prosecutor's office and talked to us?
yes.
All right. So, now, they indicated you led the march. Did you lead the march?
No,
All right. What did you do?
I was like just walking, trying to see what's going on, and walked up to the store. You know, I wasn't the leader of it, so
How many people were involved in it?
lots.
All right. African Americans, whites,
It
everyone.
was everyone.
I have no, you have a moment?
Mayor,
I have no further questions at this time.
any cross-examination?
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
How you doing, sir? Mr. Kelly, in terms of your recollection of these events, your testimony is that you were in fact parked in that handicap spot, correct?
Yes,
All right. And this individual came up to you and made it clear to you that he had a family member, perhaps his mother, that was handicapped?
yes,
All right. And that's why he was upset that you were taking up that space?
yes,
All right. In terms of money, checks that was in your car, your testimony was he was never actually looking inside the vehicle, correct?
yes,
All right. So in terms of any danger, there was no, at least that you saw, any real danger he was trying to steal any money?
Say that again?
He wasn't trying to steal any money?
No, no.
All right. His attention was the fact that you're parked in that handicapped spot, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, and then your testimony is that he threatened either to shoot you or kill you,
Yes,
just like that, out of the blue.
yes,
All right. And you just sat there and listened to him and didn't say anything or did anything, correct?
yes,
To the point where you're telling me that you're telling the jury that Ali came out of the store because he heard this confrontation.
yes,
All right. Is it your testimony to this jury that the confrontation was just one-sided? It was just Mr. Drejka doing the yelling and the screaming?
basically, yes,
Basically?
yes,
Okay. That yes or no?
yes.
Okay. Your testimony is that you didn't respond or react in any way.
I said a couple things, and just like I said a couple things. I used a little profanity,
Okay.
and after he kept going on with it, I left it alone.
Fair enough. Okay. So it was two-sided. It wasn't just a one-sided argument.
Basically, it was, yes.
Basically it was. There's that word again. Basically. So yes, it was one-sided or it was not one-sided?
Basically, it was one. It was more one-sided on his behalf than my behalf, because I said what I said, and I left it as that. Yes,
And again, so the testimony is that you're parked in the spot. At any time, did you say, hey, I'm sorry about your mother being handicapped, I'll move it, anything like that?
Say that again.
Did you at any point say to this gentleman, hey, I'm sorry about your mother being handicapped, I'll just move the car? Did you ever say that?
Yeah, I said that to Mr. Drejka. I said, if there's anyone here with you at this time that's handicapped, I will move the vehicle.
Okay. So you did say that then?
Yeah, I said that, yes.
In between the profanity, the two
No,
ways?
no. Way before that even got started.
Okay. And then your testimony was that he was actually taking pictures of your vehicle?
Yes.
All right. And ultimately, do you know if he ever sent those pictures to your boss, Mr. Tyler?
I have no idea.
But he did call your boss?
Yes, he called.
Okay. And he didn't threaten your boss?
No.
That you know of, right?
Objection, Your Honor. I mean, he can't testify. That's hearsay, you told me.
Well, that he knows of.
Okay.
Okay. Despite this claim of threat that you indicate happened, you didn't call the police?
No,
You didn't tell Mr. Ali to call the police?
no,
In fact, you didn't even tell Mr. Tyler, your boss, hey boss, look what just happened to me, you might want to call the police.
no.
All right. 5 months later, you happen to be walking by in the neighborhood, that's where you live, correct?
Yes.
All right, and you've been in the store countless times?
Yes.
Okay. And did you at least, were you aware that somebody had been, was deceased?
No, not offhand. When I walked past, no, I didn't know what was going on.
All right. But you definitely saw, I would imagine, countless police officers?
Yes,
The crime scene tape?
yeah,
Didn't see paramedics?
no,
No? Okay. And then you happened to get close enough to speak to Detective DeLeon and
Yes.
indicate what you recall of that vehicle?
yes,
All right. In terms of this statement, you were not aware, or no one was with you by your side when this individual that you claim you recall as being Mr. Drejka made the threats to shoot you. Nobody was with you.
no,
All right. Mr. Ali wasn't there.
no,
All right. And Mr. Ali didn't take it upon himself to call the police despite seeing what he saw?
I don't know why Ali didn't, but I left, so.
Then you testified that, again, 5 months later, you saw this crime scene, recognized the car, and then you happened to tell Detective DeLeon everything that you just pretty much testified to, correct?
Yes,
All right. You're saying that at some point, though, you were told there was a homicide.
yeah, I was told it was a homicide, but I didn't, it's like he said, I don't know what.
Did Detective DeLeon take the liberty of telling you specifics, what had happened,
No.
or anything like that?
Nope,
Okay. And in terms of what you said in direct examination, you did participate in at least one rally
Yes.
that you talked about, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that rally was not just in support of Mr. McLaughlin, but it was anti-Mr. Drejka, correct?
no,
Okay. Your testimony was that no reference was made about trying to arrest or convict Mr. Drejka.
no,
Okay. And your testimony is that it was a rally from neighborhood all the way to the store.
yeah, from my neighborhood to the store, yes.
All right. And again, you were marching with the community, fellow members of the community, marching with them, correct?
Yep,
Okay. And the whole time, no one mentioned that this person, Mr. Drejka, had to be arrested or convicted or anything like that?
I mean, if it was mentioned, I'm out here trying to, you know what I mean? So,
All right. And at the store, I'm sure there's little memorials, correct?
Yes.
On behalf of
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin and stuff like that? Okay. If I got a moment, Judge. In terms of this incident, this encounter, you never saw a gun?
no,
Never saw a gun, never
No.
saw this person, Mr. Drejka, reach in to his side or anything like that, as if he had a gun?
no, not on his side, but he did go back to the vehicle.
Correct, correct. He went to his vehicle, was rummaging around,
Yes.
but came back with nothing.
He didn't, I mean, I didn't see no vehicle, no telling what he had on him.
Well,
At that
you
point in
didn't-
time,
you saw the vehicle, you mean you didn't see any gun?
I didn't see any gun, no.
Okay, all right. But you did, according to your testimony, your recollection, you're letting this jury know that you saw him rummaging around for
Yes.
who knows what.
Yes,
But never saw a gun?
never saw a gun.
So we're clear, okay. And sir, and have you ever been convicted of a felony?
Yes,
All right, how many times?
one.
All right. Judge, I have nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. State, any redirect examination?
How old are you, Mr. Kelly?
32.
How old were you when you were convicted?
Judge, objections are relevant, John.
Yeah, oh,
18.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
all right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
He's excused, Your Honor, but I think you'll be on standby. He can leave the courthouse.
He may leave the courthouse. He's on standby though, like everybody else in the case right now. Who's not here? All right, State, please call your next witness.
We would call Detective Nelson DeLeon.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Right this way. Go ahead and have a seat. Speak in a loud, clear voice.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Shaw, you may well.
Detective, will you please state your full name
Nelson DeLeon,
and who you work for?
Pinellas County Sheriff's Office,
How long have you worked for the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office?
20 years.
And is that your total number of years in law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
What are your current job duties and responsibilities with that agency?
I am currently assigned to the Robbery Homicide Unit.
And how long have you been assigned to the Robbery Homicide Unit?
Just about 3 years.
And are you a detective in that unit?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to Mr. Schaub standing so close to the jury. I would ask that he be confined to the podium like all attorneys conduct examination.
All right, well, I don't think there's any rule that you have to be behind the podium, and for the record, I don't think he's all that close to the jury. I mean, he's,
I'll back up a little bit.
all right, so you can block their view? All right.
No. I've done this my whole career.
I'm quite well aware of that. You may continue.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your duties and responsibilities. You are employed by what agency?
Pinellas County Sheriff's Office.
All right. And what do you do as a detective in homicide?
We investigate the homicides. We all respond out to call out if we get one.
All right. And I want to talk about July 19th of last year. Were you called out to the Circle A convenience store?
Yes, sir.
Now that's in your all's jurisdiction, right?
That's correct.
What is around the corner Clearwater, or how does that?
That's your relevancy.
It's actually at the corner of Douglas and Sunset Point Road.
All right. Did you go out to that location as part of your duties with the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what did you do when you initially got there?
We initially got to the scene, and a briefing was conducted to get the information of what the patrol deputies had obtained.
All right. As you were out at the scene, first of all, let's talk about the scene. Was tape up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell the members of the jury what that means and what's the purpose of that.
The tape is, when we put crime scene tape up, it keeps everybody away and preserves the crime scene.
And in this case, did a young man, Ricky Kelly, approach you?
Yes, sir.
All right. And why did he approach you?
He had some, he asked me if,
Objection, hearsay.
Well, it's a question, so a question really can't be hearsay, so I'll overrule the objection.
I was asked if, specifically if a Ford runner that was in the crime scene was involved in this incident.
All right. Did you tell him that it was, or what did you tell him?
I ended up telling him that everything that's in that crime scene is involved.
All right. Were there numerous cars?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did he eventually tell you about the vehicle and what had taken place with him?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, I don't want to go into the details of what he said. So he told you all what he knew about that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Did you then, well, let's talk about what you told him. Did you tell him what had occurred at the scene?
No, sir.
Did you tell him who was involved in the shooting?
No, sir.
Did you even tell him it was a shooting?
No, sir.
All right. Did you mention to him whether or not a victim in the case or someone involved in the case was a male?
No, sir.
Female?
No, sir.
The race?
No, sir.
All right. Is it fair to say you didn't tell him anything about the facts?
That's correct.
He told you what he knew about that vehicle.
That's correct.
After he told you that, did he mention John Tyler?
Yes, sir. That was his boss.
And then did you go and talk with John Tyler?
I did.
And you took a statement from him?
I did.
At some point in time, as part of your investigation, did you secure a search warrant in this case?
Yes, sir.
And it was a search warrant for the phone of the defendant?
That is correct.
And were you able to obtain photographs off that phone
I did, sir.
as a result of the search warrant?
Yes, sir.
A search warrant is a document prepared, signed by a judge, which authorizes you to search an item or a vehicle or a home or a person?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And you did that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you obtain some photographs off of the defendant's phone?
I did.
I'm showing you what's already been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit Number 1 for identification.
Yes, sir.
Where did we get this photograph from?
From the phone.
So this was on Mr. Drejka's phone.
That is correct.
Were there other photos of the tanker truck on that phone?
Yes, sir, there's multiple.
You have a moment, Your Honor?
You may.
I have no further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Detective.
Morning.
Now, the interview you conducted with Mr. Kelly and Mr. Tyler, his boss, occurred on the day of the actual incident on July 19th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that information was available to all your command staff at the sheriff's office, correct?
I did the interview, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you documented the interview, correct?
I did document, yes, sir.
Okay, so there would have been a written report about the interview, correct?
Not that particular day. I had documented my notes. I haven't drafted the report yet.
Okay. Well, how long did it take you to actually draft the report?
I can't tell you exactly, sir.
Day or two, would that be fair?
I can't give you an exact time, sir.
Okay. Shortly thereafter, would that be fair?
It was in a reasonable time, sir.
Now, when you were at the scene, what capacity were you there for? Why were you at the scene?
I was at the scene. My assignment was to interview the witnesses that were there. Once we have our briefing, we do get assignments, and my particular one was to interview the potential witnesses that were at the location.
And did you in fact do that?
I did, sir.
And who did you interview?
I interviewed all the people that were there, sir. The female, one of the drivers that were
Brittany
there.
Jacobs?
Brittany Jacobs. No, I did not interview Brittany Jacobs.
Okay. Brittany Higgs. Did
Brittany
you interview
Higgs,
her?
yes, sir.
Okay, and you took her statement?
I did, sir.
And you did a report on that statement?
Yes,
correct?
sir. That was a transcribed, sir.
Who else do you recall interviewing?
I did interview Ricky. I also interviewed.
Detective, could I have you speak up a little bit?
I also interviewed John Tyler and so forth, sir.
Now, no one told you, Mr. Tyler and Mr. Kelly, that they ever saw a gun that day, correct?
That is correct.
And they both indicated that they never reported this to anyone until the day you spoke to them, correct?
That's correct.
And it was Mr. Kelly who approached you, correct?
It was actually, yes, sir.
He walked up to you while you were conducting your investigation.
He approached a deputy and they called me over, yes, sir.
At this point in time, had it not already been publicized that in the media, as soon as you responded and there was a shooting, that there was a shooting that occurred at that convenience store?
I can't tell you what the media already knew at that
Do
time,
you have
sir.
any personal knowledge, though? I mean, this was a big case.
I arrived on scene. It was shortly after we were there, sir. We were there for a little bit, sir.
Okay, so how long were you there before Mr. Kelly came up?
I can't give you an exact time, but I was probably within a couple hours.
So it may have been a couple hours after the incident that Mr. Kelly came and approached you, correct?
He was, because we had, by the time we did our briefing and everything else and got our assignments, he then approached. Yes, sir.
Okay. If I may have a moment, Your Honor?
Any redirect examination?
When Mr. Kelly spoke to you, did he act as though he had any information about the case other than the confrontation in February?
No, sir. That's it.
All right. I have no further questions.
All right, one follow-up, Your Honor.
Okay.
There was no police report or incident report regarding this alleged incident in February, correct? That Mr. Kelly told you about?
No, sir.
Okay, so no record of it whatsoever, just his telling you what he said occurred,
From
correct?
what he told me, yes, sir.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. State, please call your next witness.
We'd call Mr. John Tyler.
Please call your next witness.
We would call Mr. John Tyler.
You solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God.
Yes, I do.
Sir, right this way. Go ahead and have a seat. Speak loud, clear voice to the court, please.
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Tyler, will you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
My name's John Tyler.
And where do you live?
I live in Brooksville, Florida.
How long have you lived in Brooksville?
About 15 years.
Do you own and operate a business in Clearwater?
Yes, I do.
All right. And what is the name of that company?
AA Cut Rate Septic,
How long have you owned and operated that business?
19 years.
Is it a family business?
Yes.
You're the owner operator today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about that business. What type of work is it? What type of work do you all do?
So we do septic repair, installation, cleaning.
All right. And how many employees do you have?
4.
Do you have an employee by the name of Rick Kelly?
Yes, I do.
How long has Mr. Kelly worked for you?
About 8 years, 8, 9 years.
All right. And as part of his employment, what does he do with you?
He drives the service truck, so he would be pumping tanks, and sometimes he'll jump over on installs, but majority of the time he's in the tank truck.
And how do people pay for your all services?
Cash, check, credit card.
All right. And do they pay normally the driver that
Yes.
services those accounts?
Yes.
All right. And at the end of the day, what does the driver do with the cash and the credit cards, the receipts, and the checks?
He brings all the tickets of the jobs that we've done that day and brings them back into the office. And
I'd like to talk a little bit about, I believe it's Valentine's Day of last year. Were you working that day?
yes, I was.
Did you have an occasion to receive a phone call from an individual that was upset about how one of your employees parked?
Yes.
All right. Where was that message left?
It was on my voicemail, on my cell phone, but at the time, my business phones were forwarded to my cell phone. So whatever messages were going to go to the business, were going to hit the voicemail on my cell phone.
All right. And you have seen records of where that phone call was generated from?
Yeah, I had.
And it was the phone of a man by the name of Michael Drejka?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about that message. What did the individual say?
I can't remember word for word, but it was basically he wanted someone from the office to give him a call. He had a complaint about one of our drivers.
All right. On that date, was Mr. Kelly one of your drivers?
Yes.
All right. After you got that complaint on your phone, did you talk to Rick Kelly?
Yeah, so once I got the complaint, I called Rick to kind of so I wouldn't have any surprises, or felt like I wasn't going to have any surprises. I called Rick, asked him what the situation was. He told me.
He hasn't gotten into it. Without going into what was said, I mean, did he tell you what took place?
Yes.
All right. So you wanted to, before you talked to the guy, you wanted to know what had taken place.
That's right.
And Ricky told you what had taken place.
Yep.
All right. After, well, I do think it's a prior consistent statement.
Objections to what he thinks, Judge. All right, well, I guess he's thinking out loud. Try to think to yourself.
All right. What did he specifically tell you?
Same objection. All right, I'll sustain the objection.
May we approach?
Yes.
So without going into the details of what Ricky told you, after you talked to Ricky, did you call that number back?
Yes, I did.
And did you have a conversation with a gentleman who was upset about that parking in a handicap spot?
Yes, I did.
Tell the members of the jury about that conversation.
So I returned the phone call. I told him who I was, and that I was returning his call about the concern about the driver. He went on to proceed to tell me the concern was that our truck was parked, one of my drivers had parked our truck in a handicap spot or blocking a handicap spot. And that he took pictures and that he was gonna give them to the police department and they could handle it. That he didn't like the way that my driver had talked to him when he confronted my driver about parking there, that he was rude.
Did you ask him if he was handicapped?
Yeah,
What did he say?
he said no.
Did you ask him if anybody with him was handicapped?
Yes,
What did he say?
no.
All right.
So yeah, I said, was he preventing anybody at the time? And I kind of tried to explain that, you know, where that store is and where we empty our truck is directly, I mean, we're passing that store constantly. Our shop is a block away. A lot of times our guys, and for years, we would pull into that store, run in, get a drink, jump back out and go. Tried to explain that to him. Tried to explain that probably my driver didn't give him the most polite response when he came out of the store and he was up next to that truck, because there's money that's kept in that truck, and if you come up and there's a strange person walking around the truck and you're gonna say something. I guess those two just didn't hit it off well. He told me that I was lucky. He said if I had a gun, he said I could have shot him. I said, I feel sorry that you would feel that way. I said, I carry a gun. In my training, I was taught to remove yourself from those situations. Don't let yourself get into those situations, into a heated altercation to where things can happen like that. Just go the different direction. We weren't really getting anywhere. The conversation was kind of going in circles. I realized that. I realized we weren't going to agree upon anything during that conversation, so I basically said, you do what you have to do with the pictures as far as turning them to the police department. If you feel you have to do that, and we'll leave this at, we'll agree to disagree, and we'll leave it at that. And that's where it ended.
Now, I'd like to talk about, moving on to July 19th of that last year, when Mr. Marquise McLaughlin was shot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
And did you have a conversation with Ricky about his observations of a vehicle that was parked at that convenience store?
Yeah.
Did Ricky want to get involved?
Objection to hearsay, Judge. Speculation.
Improper opinion.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection.
Well, let me ask you this. What did you tell Ricky about going to talk to the police?
Objection to hearsay, relevance, Judge.
Overruled.
I told Ricky that he needed to talk to the police.
What were you trying to do?
Objection to relevance, Judge.
Overruled.
I'm sorry?
What were you trying to do by doing that?
I don't understand
All right.
where you're going with that.
So you told him he needed to go talk to the police.
Yeah.
As far as you know, did he leave
Yes, he
and
did.
went back to the scene?
Yes, he did.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Questions at this time? Thank you, Mr. Kyle.
Any cross-examination?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
How are you?
Sir, a couple of things. Just to start from the last part you said.
Mhm.
So Mr. Kelly knew there was a shooting?
I think we all knew there was I heard the gunshot in my office.
I got you. Okay.
Crime scene tape. I mean, it's,
So he already knew that there was a shooting?
no, he knew there was a crime scene. As far as anything else he knew, I couldn't tell you that.
But you knew
I mean,
you heard a shot?
I heard a shot.
All right.
So,
Let me back up now to the February incident. Obviously, you were not present. You couldn't see what had happened.
no, I could not.
All right. I think you said to this jury that it was clear that the person you were talking to, well, first of all, the person you talked to identified himself perhaps as Michael Drejka or Mr. Drejka or Michael.
It was a voicemail, and for me to say that he said this is Michael Drejka I couldn't honestly tell you that. I mean,
But he left a number
yeah, which I called back.
which you called back. Okay. And you know if he answered it or
Yeah,
was
he
it a
answered.
voicemail?
He answered.
Okay, fair enough. And so, again, it wasn't like a blocked call, unknown call, or nothing like that?
Absolutely not.
All right. And his statement to you was that he didn't appreciate the attitude that was given to him by your employee.
Well, the main purpose of the call was where Ricky was parked,
Right.
where the truck was parked.
Right.
During the conversation of that came the attitude of my employee, or
Right.
his response to him.
All right, fair enough. He didn't appreciate it. Perhaps maybe used the word rude, thought it was rude, or things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay. And you took it to heart, you know, you took the complaint down, if you will, correct?
I returned the call.
All right. And it was clear that you said that the two, meaning Mr. Kelly and perhaps Mr. Drejka, it was clear that they didn't get along, whatever had happened at the store, correct?
Yeah, to me, it was clear that there was nothing that I was going to do to make Mr. Drejka feel better about what had happened. There was nothing that I was going to do to make Ricky feel better, to bring people together and just let bygones be bygones. It was basically, we were not getting anywhere with it.
All right.
So,
Now, I take it, are you saying that Mr. Kelly himself, Ricky Kelly himself, was upset by this encounter?
well, yeah, I think most people would be.
Again, you don't witness, you don't know what exactly was said firsthand. You weren't there.
No, I was not.
All right. And you didn't call the police.
No, I did not.
And as far as you know, Ricky Kelly didn't call the police.
Did not.
And Mr. Drejka had told you he had taken pictures of this parking violation, if you will. Correct?
That's correct.
All right. At the end of that conversation, you came to the conclusion that we're going to agree to disagree. Correct?
That's right.
I have to say yes loud. Okay. For the
Yes,
purposes of the court.
yes.
All right. But he was never rude to you.
No,
Never threatened you.
no.
Okay. All right. If I could have a moment, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
State, any redirect examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. State, please call your next witness.
Mr. Salous?
Stand right here. Right over here. Raise your right hands. Face clear. Mr. Abdullah, please take your oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir, right this way. Go ahead and have a seat. Speak a loud, clear voice for the court, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Salous.
Good morning.
Am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes.
All right. And I know some people call you Ali.
Yeah.
Your formal name is
Abdullah Salous.
Abdullah.
Yeah.
Mr. Salous, will you please state your full name?
Abdullah Salous.
And where do you live?
In Oldsmar.
All right. And how long have you lived there?
6 years.
All right. And how long have you lived here in Pinellas County?
97, since 97, I believe.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about what you do for a living. What's your business?
It's a circular food store. It's a food store.
And what type of store is it?
Convenience store.
All right. Similar to a 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
All right. And where's it located?
1201 Sunset Point Road.
And how long has it been located there?
I've been there 20 years, but it's been more than 20 years.
For 20 years?
Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
I got 3.
And do you work at that location?
Yeah.
All right. How often do you work?
Every day, 7 days.
All right. What times do you normally, what's your normal work schedule?
6 to 2 o'clock.
All right. So on the day of July 19th, when this happened, you were not working, correct?
I was working.
July 19th.
I was working in the morning.
All right. But you weren't there at the time of the shooting of Mr. McLaughlin?
No.
All right.
I left.
What I want to talk with you about is I want to talk with you first a little bit about your store.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have cameras at your store?
Yeah.
All right. How many?
16.
16?
Yeah.
All right. And to the best of your knowledge, are they operational?
Yeah.
All right. And what type of machine do you use to record from those cameras?
I got a DVR.
All right. And as far as you know, was it operational on
Yes.
July 19th?
Yes.
I'd like to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3 for identification. Will you please take a look at these?
Yeah.
Do you recognize those photos?
Yeah.
Are they a fair and accurate representation of the outside of your business as it appeared as it was in July 19th?
Yeah.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd offer into evidence State's Exhibit number 3. Any objection?
No objection.
I'd like to also show you the inside of your store. State's Exhibit number 4A through E for identification. Do you recognize, I'm sorry. If you would take a look at State's Exhibit 4A through E, composite exhibit. Do you recognize those photos?
Yeah.
Do they show a number of the cameras that are inside your store?
Yeah.
And the number of cameras that appeared in your store on July 19th?
Yeah.
And B here, does it show an accurate representation of that recording device that you talked about?
Yeah.
Were they running and operational on July 19th?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd offer into evidence State's Exhibit 4A through E.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
May I have the witness step down briefly, Your Honor?
You may step down.
Mr. Salas, would you please step down for a second? In photograph A, what are we looking at there? This one.
This one, this is the sign, store sign.
All right. And your store is located at,
1201 Sunset, Douglas and Sunset.
all right. And does a pretty good business?
Yeah.
All right. Photograph B, what are we looking at there? In regards to your cameras, could you point out the cameras for the members of the jury?
It should be right here, I believe.
All right.
Right here, somewhere
All right. And were those cameras working on,
right here.
you have a few there, right?
Yeah,
Were those cameras working on the 19th?
yeah.
Thank you. Let me show you one more group. Inside your store, you have numerous cameras, correct?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you record off those cameras from a DVR machine, correct?
Yeah.
Will you please point out to the members of the jury where that is?
Right here.
And on July 19th, was it working and operational?
Yeah.
All right. In photograph A, what is that a picture of?
That's a system, mechanical system.
Okay, and are any cameras?
Yeah, this one here.
All right, in photograph C? C is right there.
There's one, yeah, it's right here. Right here.
Photograph D?
Yeah.
All right, and photograph E?
Right here.
All right. And those cameras were running and operational, the DVR machine was running and operational on July 19th. All right. You may be seated. May I have a moment, Your Honor? Which exhibits am I using? Prior to coming in and testifying, did I ask you to review a videotape taken from July 19th of your store?
No.
Prior to testifying, did you come to my office and I asked you to watch a video?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you watch that DVD?
Yeah.
Did it fairly show and accurately show that your cameras were working on that day and were operational?
Yeah.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 19. You recall watching the DVD of the outside of the shooting of Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Okay. And it appeared at that time that your cameras were functional and operational. The cameras were working.
Yeah.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd offer in evidence State's Exhibit number 19.
No objection.
It's admitted.
All right. I'd like to talk a little bit with you about the February date where Rick Kelly got into an argument with Mr. Drejka. All right, were you working on that day?
Yeah.
All right, and where were you located?
I was inside the store,
All
behind
right.
the cash.
At some point in time, did you hear what sounded like a loud argument?
Yeah, it was kind of loud, yeah.
Okay. Could you hear it from inside the store?
Yeah.
All right. Did you go outside to see what was taking place?
Yeah, I went outside. I was going to my car, and I saw them, they were arguing.
All right.
And yeah, it was Rick and Mr. Drejka.
All right.
Yeah.
And could you hear what was being said?
It was mostly Rick, I heard. He was saying, ask Ali that I can park here anytime. I told him, no, you can't park here. I don't let nobody park in a handicap.
All right. And at some point in time, did Mr. Kelly, what was he driving?
Truck.
All right. And how long have you known Mr. Kelly?
A long time ago, probably 15 years, 20 years.
All right. How often does he come into your store?
Daily.
All right. And did you know Michael Drejka?
Yeah.
How often would you see him?
Daily. Too.
And what would he come into the store normally to do?
Get a drink.
What kind of
A
drink?
Monster.
All right. You buy two?
2 or 4, mostly 4 he usually buy.
All right. And when you look around the courtroom, do you see Mr. Drejka in the courtroom?
Yeah, right there.
All right. Describe an article of clothing that he's wearing.
He's wearing
Color?
blue tie and a blue shirt and I think black jacket.
Let the record reflect that he has identified the defendant, Michael Drejka.
The record shall so reflect.
Now, on this date, when you went outside, did you kind of go outside to cool things down?
No, I was going to my car actually.
Okay.
Sometimes I leave my phone or my key, my stuff in my car. I was going to my car to get something and I see them, they was arguing and I told them, you guys better stop it or I'm going to call the police.
All right. Did Rick eventually leave?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want to talk about a conversation you had with the defendant, Michael Drejka.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him about his behavior?
I told him, yeah. When he went inside to get a drink, he came back. I told him it's not worth it to start fighting for a stupid reason and things like that.
What did he tell you?
He told me I can't help it. I always get myself in trouble for that.
And that was on February 14th or
I believe, yeah.
of 2018.
Yeah.
You have a moment, Your Honor?
Any cross-examination?
Good morning, Mr. Salas.
Good morning.
How are you today?
All right, how are you?
Just have a few questions that I want to ask you.
Sure.
Now, the shooting that happened at your store happened on July 18th of 2018, correct?
Yeah.
The incident that happened between Rick and Mr. Drejka happened
I
February,
think it was July 19th, Your Honor.
July 19th, I apologize. Okay, all right. That's it, I see her, lots of help. July 19th of 2018, correct?
Yeah.
And the incident with Mr. Drejka and Ricky happened in February of 2018.
It's a few months before. I wasn't sure of the date, but I think it's about that time, yeah.
Right. And in fact, you weren't sure, you actually thought that it was about a month before.
Yeah, yeah.
So at
It's
the
been a while, so I wasn't tracking it. It's happened before. So.
So when you spoke to law enforcement on July 20th,
Yeah.
you thought the incident between Rick and Drejka happened about a month before.
No, I said 2 months or more. It was around 2 months. That's what I said. I didn't say 1 month. I think I said 2 months or more.
Okay. Do you know, have you been able to look at a transcript of the interview you gave with law enforcement?
No, I think I look at it, yeah. But I
Okay.
didn't say 1 month.
Would possibly looking at it refresh your recollection as to whether it was about a month before?
It was more than a month.
Okay. May I approach the witness with his? I'm going to have you right here. Tell me what that says.
Yeah, but it happened before.
me re-ask you that question. At the time you spoke to law enforcement, you believe that the incident between Mr. Drejka and Mr. Kelly happened about a month before?
Yeah, I told him a few months before. I wasn't sure exactly, but I told him it's a few months. I
Okay,
remember.
but your statement said 1 month.
I could be. I mean, I don't know what I said. The same day, I was nervous at that time, and I don't know.
Understand?
Can't go back when this happened before.
Right, understandably. So now, Mr. Drejka was a regular customer.
Yeah,
You saw him every day.
yeah,
And you saw Mr. Kelly every day as well.
yeah.
On February 14th, you never saw Mr. Drejka with a gun?
No,
You never saw him threaten Mr. Kelly?
no.
And you never saw them fighting?
I heard an argument, but I didn't see the fight. They weren't fighting.
Okay.
There was an argument.
And in fact, you heard Mr. Kelly more than you heard Mr. Drejka?
Yeah,
All right. And normally when you see Mr. Drejka, he's quiet,
he is quiet.
very calm.
Yeah,
Actually, you indicated he's always calm.
yeah, he's a calm guy.
Now, at the time you came out of the store to go to your car, had Mr. Kelly already been in and got his drink?
No, they were still arguing. They were talking. He was telling him to ask Ali, he will let me park here. That's what he said most of the time. Ask Ali, he let me park here.
So neither one of them had gone into the store yet?
No,
Okay. And at some point, do both of them come in the store?
I'm not. I think so. I think so.
And you tell both of them if they don't stop, you're going to call the police?
Yeah, when they were outside. Yeah, I said that.
But you didn't call the police?
No, because they stopped.
And you didn't know that Mr. Drejka carried a gun, did you?
No.
And other than the incident on July 19th that happened in your store, this was the only incident that you recalled was the one that happened with Mr. Kelly in February?
Yeah.
Never complaints about Mr. Drejka with the parking spot?
No.
Now, I want to talk about the system that you have in your store, the recording system. You've had it for about 20 years, correct?
No, I had the store for 20 years. I had the system probably a year or 2 years. I
Okay.
changed it for 2-3 years.
Every 2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
You would agree with me that the video is not like 4D high-quality video, correct?
That's a for convenience store. It's not.
That would be a call for the jury, not for the witness.
All right, overruled.
You would agree with me that that video is not like the best quality 4D.
It's not the best, but it's very good quality.
I mean, it shows what happened,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
But it's not the clearest video. You would agree with that?
Well, to me, it was clear. I was seeing everything I need in the store. I mean,
Right, right. For your purposes, it worked, correct?
yeah.
All right. You could see if somebody was stealing or taking stuff
Oh,
out
yeah.
the store?
Yeah.
Right. And you've been in that neighborhood for a long time.
20 years.
And at some point, there was a march that actually came to your store as a result of this.
Yeah,
All right. And more than once.
yeah.
Judge, if I can have one moment. And just so I can clarify, when you said you came out and saw Mr. Kelly and Mr. Drejka, it was Mr. Kelly basically saying, hey, Ali knows I could park here, it's
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right? Trying to say, check it out with Ali, you and I know each other, I can park my car in this handicap spot, correct?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, no further questions.
Any redirect?
Briefly, you indicate he's calm, but didn't you also say he was nosy? Mr. Drejka?
Well, anybody, if he's not a handicap, then he's looking for a handicap, by the way, looking at the handicap sign, he's got to be noisy because he doesn't need it.
Objection,
opinion,
Your Honor.
All right, overruled.
Go ahead.
With that day, I felt he's noisy, yeah.
Okay. You're not saying noisy, you're saying nosy.
Noisy, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And you also watched the video of the inside of the store, correct?
Yeah.
And the cameras appeared to be working sufficiently on the inside of that store,
Yeah.
of your store.
Yeah.
All right. And law enforcement eventually got a hold of that disc from that DVR machine?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
Thank you.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
May we approach?
Yes, you may. All right, members of the jury, this is probably a good time for a lunch break. Let me instruct the jury on this, and also any of the spectators and any interested parties. And I said before that the lawyers have an ethical obligation to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Let me go ahead and extend it to anyone involved in the case. We'll be taking a lunch break. Obviously, the jurors have a badge that says juror, so it's pretty easy to figure out who they are. So I will instruct everyone to please avoid them, and please don't do anything that could be interpreted as interfering or trying to influence the jurors at all. There are a number of them, so they won't be lonely. I'm sure that they'll be able to eat with each other, so I would recommend that you do that. We don't want anyone to be lonely, but please try not to engage in conversation with the others, and I'll instruct everyone in here and everyone who may be involved in it to please try to avoid speaking to these jurors and making any contact with the jurors at all. That could be interpreted as a third-degree felony, so you certainly don't want to do anything to try to influence the jurors outside of the courtroom. All right, do the jurors have any questions at all at this point? All right, so I will give you an hour for lunch. We'll let you go out first. And if everyone else can remain who's in here. All right, so everyone in the courtroom understands that we certainly, at this point or any point, don't want to miss trial, so try to avoid even the appearance of impropriety with the jurors. Just go ahead and leave them alone. Obviously, they have the juror badge on, so please don't approach them. Please don't contact them. And everyone's doing a pretty good job so far of not showing any sort of emotion or doing anything to try to influence the jurors. Good job by everybody. Let's keep that up. Obviously, don't make any sounds or statements or noise or any sort of gestures at all to indicate any sort of emotions at all regarding the jury. So far, I haven't seen any of that. So obviously, keep up the good work. All right, so we'll see you in an hour.